Alrighty folks, hello out there in the pre-cal world. We are over here today graphing composite functions, and we're going to do so. I forgot to write it. Let's write this in. We're going to use this. This is called the step-by-step method here. And why is it called the step-by-step method? Because you just graph it step by step. And it's very important that when you do so, you need the aid of a pencil, and also very importantly, an eraser. Really quick, anybody not have an eraser out there? Okay, we good? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do so. So we're going to do this step by step. So step 1, it says graph the inside function. So in number 1, you can see I have the square root of x squared minus 9. So the inside function is this guy here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for step 1. So notice I'm writing step 1. I'm going to graph the inside function. And the inside function is x squared minus 9. Okay? So hopefully at this stage, this is not a complicated thing for you to do. This is clearly a quadratic, and it's minus 9 on the outside, which means you're going to move it down 9 units. Okay? So, and notice, I wrote it in pen there, the steps, but I'm going to graph in pencil. So I'm going to graph a parabola, but it's down 9. So I'm going to start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here. So it's going to start at negative 9, and I'm going to go ahead and graph this out. Now, you don't really know where it's going, but you just draw a sketch of it, okay? And now we are going to go ahead and do step 2. Step 2 says apply the outside function. Modification. Modification means change. So, and you're going to erase or change the inside function, okay? So my outside function, as you can see, it was a square root. And if you remember your square root rules, the square root rules say, so step 2, I'm going to apply now the square root, right? And the square root says, when you take a square root, you erase the negative y values, and then you change the arms to look like a square root function. Okay? So what does that mean here? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the negative y values. So basically anything below, you're going to take your pencil now, you're going to erase this sucker here. He's done. And then what you do is you're going to do something with your arms here. The arms I'm referring to like these over here of the function. You're just going to kind of like punch out with each of these here. Okay? So these are going to change to these, and when you're done, erase the original ones. Okay? And now what we have here, this is a sketch of this function. Why is this helpful? Because you can now graph very, very complicated square roots without a calculator, which is really advantageous in this class, in calculus, and any of your future math classes that you're going to go to. And the last step here is, I'm going to say, find the roots to assist with the domain and the range. Okay, to do so, we're going to set the inside equal to 0 and solve. So we're going to do the last step now. Step number 3. I'm going to set the inside to 0 and solve. And you might be wondering, well, why am I doing this? I already know. Because if we try and find the domain here, notice it goes from negative infinity to here, right? But then it stops here. I have to know exactly where this point is. So to do so, that's why I need to set the inside to 0. I need to find the roots, okay? So the inside is just x squared minus 9. If I set this to 0, I can solve this. What do we do? I'm going to add 9. And we get x squared equals 9. And now what do I do? Square root. And we get x equals plus or minus 3. Now as you can see here, I'm going to zoom in here. So this is where my dots are supposed to be, right? Now remember, you did a sketch, and hopefully if you did it like close to being right, it'll be like within a few units. And we're going to see here, you guys can tell me here, how close am I here? One of them was negative 3. Was this? So negative 3 is where? 1, 2. I was pretty close, right? So I'm going to change it to make sure it hits at -3. I'm going to erase this guy, and I'm just going to make sure it goes from -3 here. And then the other one was at +3, and that one actually was pretty much dead on. So now I have my function here. I'm going to zoom out so we can see the whole thing again. And now we're going to find the domain and the range here. So the domain is the x values. I'm going to go here. First thing I hit is -infinity. And then I go to here, and this value is -3. But because it touches, it's going to be a bracket. And remember, when there's a space, that's when we put the union. And we go from 3 bracket to infinity. And that's the domain. I should probably rewrite that somewhere clearer. But anyways, you can kind of see it here. Okay. And then the range goes from bottom to top. The first thing I hit is this value, which is 0 on the y, and it touches. And I go all the way up to my arrow, and arrow means infinity. And that is how we graph this using the step-by-step method, and then checking our roots here, and then finding the domain and range.